Good evening, everybody. I'm doing a special broadcast today. Um, it's about a festival that's an annual celebration, way big than we can imagine in India. And we grew up with this festival. This is called Elephant God's Festival. His name is Ganesha, right? And he's very interesting, to say the least. As children, when we are growing up with all the festivities, we used to celebrate his, farm made into clay, and we are fascinated by he has a head that is reminiscent of elephant, right? So he's supposed to be a remover of the obstacles. So if you want to do anything, if you want to some good thing or study or whatever, they used to say to us, this God will protect you, you will not have obstacles in your endeavors, and you will be successful. So it's great. So we kind of trusted that, and then we began to do that festival with aplomb. One of the rituals of the festival is you got to go and bring some leaves and all the branches of the small trees and all, because he's a elephant, he likes to eat all that, right? So we are supposed to. That is called patri. We used to gather that together and come home and then worship him with that, doing the puja and all that. But then there were so many good things they used to make for eating, like different kind of recipes, and they are very unique. So we used to eat them, and that was very unique for each festival. Anyway, so it was a fun time. And then later on, as I began to study ancient Buddhism, I developed this habit of understanding these festivals, understanding the rituals, understanding what's the significance behind each kind of sculpture that they made and the decorations they made, the kind of rituals they made, and all that. They were not just blind, really, but they had what do you say, lot of information. So I was very fascinated by the festivals and their significance, and then I was able to really understand what was behind them, what they were intending. In this way, I had come across a photograph of Ganesha, which I'm going to put it in my LinkedIn article that I made on this. This is about how the whole thing appears, and each part of him represents something that's important, right? So I was going to do that. So, for example, he has a big head. So the big head is more like a thinking big. Leaders must rise above their narrow goals and dream beyond immediate gains, right? That we call the vision and whatever. So strategic vision is the essence of progress. So when they said he will remove obstacles, I interpreted like if we understand his qualities and apply them in our lives, then we won't have any obstacles. Not that he's going to come and do it, but he is representing. Each god is like that. They had some special qualities that are there for us to learn and implement them. Okay, so that was about the big head, and he has very small eyes. They're the signal for the concentration. So if you have a lot of distractions, focus. If you can focus, that sharpens your leadership. See, this ability to concentrate, because when you're putting both eyes in arrow, then you want to concentrate. So when you do that, it ensures that clarity of purpose. So the small eyes represent concentration. And then he has a large ears, like elephant, right? Fan like large ears. So that means you listen more. True leaders listen deeply. Employees, peers, even critics, you listen with your listening creates trust and innovation. Okay, That's the kind of thing. The head, really head and eyes and ears, they represent big head, big thinking, small eyes, concentration, and large ears, listening quality. Okay, that's how they kind of picturize that. Then the second point is, how do you communicate under emotional intelligence? See, because you have a small mouth, you're supposed to be talking less. So leadership is not about verbosity, but impactable words, right? Speaking less, but wisely preserving all that authority and focus. Okay. I kind of employed this in my meetings in the hospital, where I may be leading the meeting, I may be conducting the meeting, but all the people who came to participate, I let them present their viewpoint, present their concerns and whatever. And then at the end, I used to gather everybody's essence and then come out talking. That looked like they all knew I was closely listening with them. Okay. So small mouth is talking less and listening more, right? And he has a large stomach. Okay, this stomach, you digest everything. You absorb praise, criticism, success, and failure with equanimity. That builds the resilience. So it has the essential leadership trait, right? And then once you go from that, third thing is, how do you make decisions and discernment? One, because he has only one tusk. Elephant has two tusks, right? But in this cell form, in this form, you see only one tusk. Ekadanta, like the teeth only one, right? And these are pretty much high demand by the elephant's tusks, right? That means one is retain the good and discard the bad. Discernment. See, leaders must filter in the useful from the noise, retaining wisdom and discarding distractions. Okay, and he carries an axe that is, okay, cutting bonds of achievement. Decision making requires you have to be detached from favorites, ego, or personal bias, right? That is how everybody knows that good leaders will be equanimous to everybody. Fourth point of leadership that we can learn from this figure is guidance and motivation. See, he carries a rope that is pulled toward higher goal. Okay, a leader lifts others up, guiding them towards shared goals and the larger mission. That's why he has to pull them up. Okay. And then one hand of his is kind of blessing you. That means you provide protection and support. Great leadership provides psychological safety, reassurance, and confidence to the team. Right? That is all assured in that blessing hand. And then number five is, how do you adapt and execute? The trunk is a symbol of efficiency and adaptability. The trunk can uproot a tree from its deep roots, and it also picks a needle. It can handle a baby very tenderly. So, likewise, leaders must balance macro vision and micro actions. You can be having a lot of vision, but if you are seen participating duties with your colleagues or help or whoever is working for you in micro actions, not dominating them with the micromanagement, but participating in the actions. And then he has this madaka, which is the reverse of the sadhana, the spiritual practice that symbolizes patience. The rewards come after effort, discipline, and practice, right? We all know that. But there's a symbol of that. And the sixth point is, how do you relate with your desires and resources? So the mouse that he rides on is at his feet. That is a symbolic of desires. Left uncontrolled, desire can evolve into ego, greed, ambition. That ego rights us. Okay, control, it becomes a servant of progress. Leaders right desires, they are not ridden by them. Okay, so that's what it is. And then there is this what's called prasada, that is the offering to the god, the food that we offer, it is returned back to us and it is blessed by him. So whole world is at your feet. A true leader recognizes abundance and uses it responsibly for service and welfare, right? That is the prasada, where you kind of got everything blessed by the divine. So these are meanings with that, So once you understand these leadership qualities, then let me put it in a succinct. Leadership lessons from Ganesha are: Ganesha not only the removal of obstacles, but the embodiment of transformational leadership. That embodiment of transformational leadership we have to study and we have to apply in our modern life. So, but there are so many symbols in his presentation of the photo. Like a vision is the big head, and listening qualities are big ears, and focusing, concentration, small eyes. They shape the future. If you have a vision, if you are listening to what's going on, what's presented to you, and you have a focus on what needs to be done, then you will have better future, right? And then if it's like a small mouth, which is telling you restraint and don't speak too much, and then X shows you detachment, then one task shows you discernment from the bad. So they cut through all challenges. If you have restraint, detachment, and discernment, they cut through all challenges. And then if you take the trunk, it's a symbol of adaptability. It can uproot a tree, or it can handle a baby, or it can pick up a needle too. And then, because you have the large stomach, you take everything in and keep it there. Keep it in your stomach, they say, right? There's a saying that in India, that keep it all this as a secret in your tummy, right? Like that. And then there is emotional intelligence and balance, because you are assuring people that you will be there to support them. That really shows a lot of sustainable growth too. When you adapt, when you are equanimous, when you are emotionally balanced, you sustain growth better, right? And then mastering our own desires for a higher goal. That is why the mastering the higher desire is symbolizing that we are masters of the mouse. And also higher goal is represented by the rope. And then the rewards that you get is what you do, because you are mastering desire. You are not led by all the cigarette smoking, drinking, all those desires are not there. And then you have understood them, what's the role, and they don't want to hurt yourself in the long run, so you give up, right? So all this ensures long-term success. So see how the whole festival is evolved on how the human beings will be successful, how the excellent leadership qualities are there. So you learn them, and just because they are there in him doesn't mean you will have success. You got to understand, learn, and apply them in your life. Okay, so if you really follow the Ganesha's attributes as leadership qualities, you got a lot of things you can do. Okay, so this is the significance of this festival, but most of the people don't pay attention to this. What they do is they just celebrate, they enjoy the food, they enjoy the festivity, they enjoy the spectacular this sculptures that they make out of earth now, so that they can go and pray to him so that he will grant blessings that will take away your obstacles. But I think if you understand Ganesha, and then if you understand the qualities, and then keep this festival as a reminder, and then adopt them, then you will be not having any obstacles. Okay, so this is like a modern leadership framework I put in. I'm going to put that LinkedIn article. Okay, I'm going to call this Ganesha model of leadership. And it's vision, emotional intelligence, decision making, adaptability, and service. Okay, So you can look for that, and we will do that. We may do a webinar on this. That will be very good. Okay. So first, I wrote a LinkedIn article. I'll put it there this night later on, and you can see. Anybody has any comments or want to say about this, or is this far fetched or something? You can come and talk to me about it. I do what is called servant leadership for corporate leaders. In that, a lot of these things come. So there is a tremendous need in America corporations of the need for people who are leaders, but at the same time they are egotistical. So they are needing these people who are nurturers. You are a nurturer if you are providing all the services as service, as what they call seva in Sanskrit. That means you just go and help somebody expecting nothing. Like that, you go to the hospital and you lead the team of doctors or anybody like that, just to improve the lot of the doctors, improve the service of the doctors, improve the general welfare of the patient, and then welfare of the providers who are providing the service. My approach in the morning also, I talk about how not only you make your body energized and strong, but also you want to focus your mind and you keep your heart in a service mode. That means you are giving from your heart. You are not expecting anything in return. And that produces a lot of um, equanimity, and you don't have any stress when you are doing something in the spirit of, let me help the other person, let me give from my heart without expecting anything. This is called karma yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, he talks about you can do your job, but don't expect any results from it, or don't expect any profits from it. I think one of the biggest problems of consumer society anywhere now is not just in West or all over the world. People are always craving for something that they want from the work they do. They don't enjoy the work. They don't enjoy the giving nature of it. But if you do that, you will have very little stress. Try that if you are not doing it already. If you offer anything that you do in the spirit of service, not expecting anything, that becomes the karma. COVID times, that was a crisis for the doctors to handle this tremendous virus and tremendous mortality, we call it, dying from it was very high, especially in the beginning. 1,000 people died every day in New York City alone in the beginning. Okay, that was really terrible. And at the time, some of the doctors, we kind of talked about this karma yoga and how we perform our job as a physician, as our duty, our responsibility, but we are doing from our heart, from our giving heart, from our loving heart. And then we were able to handle that better rather than what I'm going to get this. Do I get extra money or do you get extra leave? Those things we wanted people to really put aside and say, human beings are dying and we are in the role of helping them. So offer whatever we can do. Obviously, we could not save them in the beginning because we had no treatments, really, no vaccine, no things spread very, very, very quickly. So we were, and all the measures that we said that you have to contain it, and also you have to maintain some social detachment, distance, and all that. I promote all that vaccine and also how to keep away from that. But I had calls from India also in the night because I was in Clubhouse in a big meeting, the first meeting. I was the only doctor. There was 400 different people out there. Then they were asking me about COVID and also, and then fortunately I was a follower of endemics and pandemics and from the beginning. From the 70s, I have been following what's going on with the infections in the world and what are the epidemics, how do they start, how do they spread, what are the things we can do. being a prevention oriented person, I was always about building up our own immunity or not getting close to the people who have that, and also keeping the environment clean. All those things I thought reasonably we can do, all of us can do. So I promoted that quite a lot. Okay. So this is Ganesha festival. There's a fascinating story about how he got the head of elephant. So there's a mystical story where they tell us that this Ganesha was created by his mother out of her own flower or something, and then she puts some life into him because she is the mother of all the world, like a mystical story, And then her husband, who is the powerful Shiva, he is the Almighty God. He goes out and comes back. By the time he discovers this little kid at the door, acting as a doorkeeper, watchman, and he would not allow him to go inside. And the Shiva gets angry, cuts off the head of the child. And then he goes in, and then his wife asks for this kid, and then she comes out and she finds him dead there. Then she cries, and then Shiva wants to pacify her. So he goes and gets the head of an elephant and then puts it on this kid, and the kid keeps alive like that. So that's the mythical story. But the popularity is not only the elephant god, but what the elephant represents, all the parts of it, And like I told you about large head, small eyes, and big ears, and all that, right? And also the trunk and all. So many other qualities are there too in that particular photograph. You look at that photograph in my LinkedIn article. I'll put it on the page there. Okay. So this is what it is. Very fascinating god, and very much celebrated to this day in a big way. Like 4 times to the Christmas, they do it here. They do it there in India. And my wife is also offering her own puja and all, which is fine. They can do what they really feel comfortable. But I look at the meaning. I look at the spirituality. I look at not being having a belief, but to understand these traditions. I look at Thanksgiving. I look at Christmas and everything like that. All festivals, whatever people celebrate, I look at them like an objective study, and then learn a lot of wisdom through that. The rituals are not just blind, but they are kind of. But if you only do rituals and you don't understand anything that is implied, the wisdom, and don't apply that wisdom into your life, I think you are not going to get anything, right? So thank you. And if you want to ask me any question, you can come up now. And you can look for my LinkedIn article, and I'm sure you will enjoy that. The figure also, the photograph, you'll enjoy that too. You know. Um, okay, I'll publish that article now, and I will see you again later when I have um, time to do this. Thanks. Bye bye.